Hello, my awesome students. Tonight I just want to quickly review with you some properties of metals. Okay, so remember we have lots of different objects all around us that are made of metal, like pennies. Remember a penny is made of copper, so copper is a metal. We have a nail, we have a metal spoon. These are usually made of iron or some combination of iron and cobalt or steel. So remember, these are, again, all metals, and you can see they're all kind of shiny. Metals usually have that property of matter where they're a little bit shiny. This aluminum foil, okay, so your parents probably use this a lot when they're in the kitchen. Aluminum foil is made of aluminum. Aluminum is a metal, just like a Coke can or a Diet Dr. Pepper can. These cans are made of aluminum, and aluminum is considered a metal. Just like the SpaghettiOs can. Okay, so all of these items that I just showed you have one property of matter in common. They are all made of metal. And when we talk about metals, we can talk about electrical and thermal conductivity, and we can also talk about magnetism. And remember, some of our metals have some very surprising properties that we found out this week. A lot of us were surprised to know that all metals did not attract to a magnet. Okay, so for example, here's my nail attracted, the spoon attracted, but a lot of you were surprised that this foil didn't attract to the magnet, and a lot of you were really surprised when the penny didn't attract to the magnet. So a lot of times we think that all metals are magnetic, but that is not true, and you guys learned that this week. And so we need to remember that only some metals are magnetic. Okay, like look at this can. If you try to stick one of your Coke cans or any soda can to a magnet, it's not going to stick because it is not a magnetic metal. It does not have that property of matter. And remember, today I taught you guys a silly little story, a silly little thing to remember the magnetic metals that we have in this world. So we learned the three kings of Nick. And remember, the N stands for nickel, the I stands for iron, and the C stands for cobalt. So our three magnetic metals are nickel, iron, and cobalt. But then remember, iron has a sun, and iron's sun's name is steel. So we actually have four magnetic metals: the three kings of Nick, nickel, iron, cobalt, and then iron has a son named steel. Those four metals are the only metals that will ever attract to a magnet. They have the property of matter known as magnetism. But all of these metals do have something else in common besides being shiny metals. They're not all magnetic, but remember how we talked about thermal and electrical conductivity? All metals are conductors, and we proved that using our conductivity tester. We've got a circuit here with a battery, the energy source, hooked up through some wires to a light bulb, and we know when everything is connected that light bulb will come on. And I'm not sure how well you guys can see that, but when no matter what metal I hook up to this conductivity tester, so I'll start with the nail, and the nail, when I hook everything up and everything is connected and touching, you can see that light bulb came on. Now let's take one of our metals that was not magnetic. So let's take the penny. Okay, so the penny, does it have magnetism? No, it's not one of our three kings of Nick. Pennies are made of copper, and a lot of people get copper confused with cobalt. So we've got to remember the difference between copper and cobalt. Easiest way to remember that is by a penny. Pennies are made of copper. Copper is a metal, but it is not a magnetic metal. But here, if I'm testing for the property of conductivity, and I hook that penny right up here, you can see it's very light because it's running out of juice, but you can see that the light bulb has come on. Okay, same thing with aluminum. We know this aluminum in the can and in the foil is not magnetic, but when I hook it up to this conductivity tester, yes, there it is, the light bulb has come on. Okay, so that is something we have to memorize in our brains. All metals are not magnetic. The only metals that have the property of magnetism are our three kings of Nick, nickel, iron, cobalt, and iron has a son named steel. But then all metals are conductors. All metals are going to let heat and electricity pass through. Okay, when you go to cook, when your parents cook food on the stove, they use a metal pan, and they use that metal pan because that heat's going to go straight through that metal pan and cook that food, and that's what we call a conductor. Okay, and all of those conductors also just let our electricity pass through our circuit and turn that light bulb on. So remember, all metals are not magnetic, but all metals are conductors. So make sure you study that tonight. Make sure you study the three kings of Nick, and you need to be able to tell me on your test tomorrow which metals are magnetic and which metals are not magnetic. So have a great night and happy studying. There's another video that you can watch that will review all the properties that we have learned about. So enjoy.